The sound of a manila envelope slapping against a cheek is louder than you think. It echoed through the dining room like a gunshot. When Philip threw those divorce papers at Luna, he didn't just bruise her face. He shattered the silence of a 10-year lie. He laughed at her weight. He mocked her empty bank account. He called her a parasite in front of his mother and his mistress. But Philip forgot one crucial detail about the poor wife he was discarding. The mansion they were sitting in the cars in the driveway, and the company he claimed to run. None of it was in his name. This is the story of how a public execution became a private massacre. The chandelier above the dining table cost more than Luna's childhood home. It was a monstrosity of crystal and gold, casting a harsh, fractured light over the dinner plates. Luna shifted in her chair, feeling the fabric of her dress pinch into her waist. It was a navy blue dress she had bought off the rack at a department store 3 years ago, before the twins were born, before the stress eating, and before she became invisible. She looked across the mahogany table at Philip. Her husband of 10 years looked impeccable. He was wearing a charcoal suit, custom-tailored, to hide the slight softening of his own midsection, though he would never admit to it. He was swirling a glass of 18-year-old scotch, his eyes fixed on the amber liquid, as if the secrets of the universe were trapped in the ice. "Stop fidgeting, Luna," a voice snapped from the head of the table. It was Victoria Phillips' mother. The matriarch of the Banks family sat like a queen on a throne, her silver hair pulled back so tight it pulled her eyelids taut. She was cutting into her filet mignon with surgical precision. "Sorry, Victoria," Luna murmured, placing her hands in her lap. "The chair is just a little—" "The chair is fine," Victoria interrupted, not looking up. "Perhaps you just take up more room than you used to." A quiet snicker rippled from the other side of the table. Seated next to Philip was Sasha. She wasn't family, technically. She was the interior designer who had been working on the west wing of the estate for 6 months, though Luna had never seen a single paint swatch or fabric sample. Sasha was 24, blonde, and currently wearing a slip dress that looked like it was made of liquid silver. Luna felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She looked to Philip for defense, for a small smile, for anything. But Philip didn't look at her. He just took a long sip of his scotch. "So," Philip said, finally breaking his silence. His voice was smooth, the voice that had charmed investors and closed deals. "Mother was telling me you forgot to pick up the dry cleaning for the gala tomorrow." Luna's heart hammered. "I didn't forget, Philip. The twins were sick. Leo had a fever of 102. I had to stay with them until the nanny arrived." "Excuses," Philip sighed, setting the glass down heavily. "It's always excuses with you, Luna. It's either the kids or the traffic or your migraines. You have one job, one simple job. Keep the domestic side of my life in order, so I can focus on the empire." "I take care of our children, Philip," Luna said, her voice trembling slightly. "I wouldn't call that domestic trivia." "And look what it's done to you," Philip sneered. He finally turned his head, locking eyes with her. His gaze wasn't loving. It was clinical. It was disgusted. "Look at yourself, Luna. You're a mess. You're wearing a dress that looks like a potato sack. Your hair is frizzy. You haven't been to the gym in what?" 2 years. I had a C-section, Philip. I had complications. You know that. "Sasha goes to the gym 5 times a week," Victoria chimed in, taking a sip of wine. "And she runs a business. It's about discipline, dear, something you clearly lack." The room felt like it was shrinking. The air was thick with the smell of roasting rosemary and expensive perfume, making Luna nauseous. She looked at the uneaten food on her plate. This was supposed to be a celebration. It was their 10th anniversary. She had a gift for him in her purse, a watch she had saved up for months to buy from her small allowance. "I tried," Luna whispered. "I try every day." "That's the problem," Philip said, his voice rising. "Your best isn't good enough anymore. It hasn't been good enough for a long time. You don't fit in this world, Luna. You never did. You were a charity case I picked up because I thought you were simple, malleable." "Philip, please." Luna looked around the table. The servants were standing by the walls, eyes averted, pretending not to hear. "Don't do this here." "Where should I do it?" Philip laughed, a cruel barking sound. "In the bedroom?" "We haven't been in the bedroom together in months. I can't even look at you without losing my appetite." Sasha covered her mouth with a manicured hand to hide a giggle. Luna felt tears pricking her eyes. She wanted to stand up, to flip the table, to scream, but she was frozen. She was the poor girl from the wrong side of the tracks who had married the prince. She had spent a decade trying to be worthy of him, and now he was stripping her bare. "I think," Philip said, reaching under his chair. "It's time we stopped pretending." He pulled out a thick manila envelope. Luna froze. "What is that?" Philip didn't hand it to her. He didn't slide it across the table. He stood up, walked around the edge of the table until he was standing directly over her. He loomed like a tower. "This," Philip said, "is your eviction notice." He pulled his arm back and threw the envelope. It wasn't a toss. It was a throw. The heavy packet of documents struck Luna squarely on the left cheekbone. The corner of the envelope scratched her skin, drawing a tiny bead of blood. The papers scattered onto her plate, landing in the gravy and the mashed potatoes. Divorce. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The bold letters stared up at her, stained with brown gravy. "I'm done," Philip announced, adjusting his cufflinks. "I'm done with the wait. I'm done with the whining, and I'm most certainly done with dragging a poverty-stricken anchor around my neck. You have nothing, Luna. You came into this marriage with 0. And per the prenup my mother wisely made you sign, you're leaving with 0. Luna touched her cheek. Her fingers came away with a smear of blood. "Philip, the kids." "I'm petitioning for full custody," Philip said coldly. "A woman with no income and no home is unfit to raise a Banks. You'll get visitation. Maybe. If you can afford a lawyer." Victoria clinked her spoon against her glass. "Well done, Philip. Finally showing some backbone." Sasha leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with malice. "Don't worry, Luna. I'll make sure the twins are dressed properly. I have a great stylist." The humiliation was total. It was a physical weight pressing Luna into the chair. She looked at the man she had loved, the man she had nursed through a bout of pneumonia 3 years ago, the man she had defended when the SEC came sniffing around his company last year. "You're kicking me out?" Luna asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Tonight, the concours is waiting," Philip said, pointing to the door. "Grab your things, whatever rags you call clothes, and get out. I don't want you in my house another night." "Your house?" Luna asked. A strange sensation was bubbling up in her chest. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was heat. "My house," Philip sneered. "My money. My life. You were just a guest who overstayed her welcome." Luna slowly reached for the napkin on her lap. She dabbed the blood on her cheek. She looked at the gravy-stained divorce papers. She looked at Victoria, smug and superior. She looked at Sasha, the replacement. And then she looked at Philip. She didn't cry. The tears had evaporated. In their place was a cold, hard clarity. "You really didn't read the fine print, did you, Philip?" Luna said. Her voice wasn't trembling anymore. It was steady. Philip frowned. "What are you babbling about? Get out." Luna stood up. She picked up the divorce papers, shook the gravy off them, and folded them neatly. "I'll leave," Luna said. "I'll leave tonight because the air in here stinks of rot." "But Philip, when you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that you threw these papers in my face." "Go!" Philip roared, pointing at the door. Luna turned and walked out of the dining room. She didn't run. She didn't look back. She walked past the servants who looked at her with pity. She walked out the heavy oak front doors and into the cold November night. She had no coat. She had no car keys. Philip had likely confiscated them. She had $5 in her pocket and a phone with 12% battery. As the heavy door slammed shut behind her, locking her out of the life she had built, Luna pulled her phone out. She dialed a number she hadn't called in 7 years. It rang once, twice. "Hello," a gruff, deep voice answered. "Uncle Arthur," Luna said, staring up at the massive mansion that loomed against the night sky. "It's Luna. Initiate Protocol 0. There was a pause on the other end. "Are you sure, kid?" "Once we pull that thread, the whole sweater unravels. There's no going back." Luna touched her bleeding cheek. "Burn it down," she said. "Burn it all down." Luna walked 3 miles in heels. The pavement was unforgiving, and the autumn wind bit through the thin fabric of her department store dress, but the physical pain was a welcome distraction. It grounded her. Every blister forming on her heel was a reminder of why she was doing this. She ended up at a 24-hour diner called Patty's Place on the edge of town, the kind of place where the coffee tasted like battery acid and the neon sign buzzed like an angry hornet. She slid into a vinyl booth in the back, shivering uncontrollably. "Honey, you look like you've been dragged through a hedge backward," the waitress said, dropping a laminated menu on the table. Her name tag read Doris. "Coffee," Luna managed to say. "Black, please." She wrapped her hands around the warm mug when it arrived, trying to stop the shaking. She checked her phone. 8% battery. Arthur had said he needed 12 hours. 12 hours to freeze the assets. 12 hours to access the offshore accounts that Philip didn't know she knew about. Luna wasn't just a simple girl from the country, as Philip liked to tell his friends. Before she met Philip, she had been an actuary, a risk assessor. She understood numbers better than she understood people. When she married Philip, she had signed the prenup without reading it, because she loved him. But 3 years ago, when she found a second phone in his briefcase, she stopped trusting and started calculating. She hadn't just been home with the kids. She had been watching. Every bank statement left on the desk. Every careless email left open on the shared iPad. Philip was arrogant, and arrogance made him sloppy. He thought she was too stupid to understand shell companies and tax havens. He thought she was just poor Luna. A vibration on the table startled her. Unknown. Number. She answered. "Luna." "I'm here, Arthur. I'm looking at the accounts." Arthur's voice was low. Arthur wasn't really her uncle. He was a forensic accountant she had dated briefly in college, one of the few people from her past she had kept a secret line to. "My God, Lyd. He's been busy." "Tell me," she whispered. "The construction company. It's a Ponzi scheme. He's moving money from new investors to pay off the returns for the old ones. But that's not the worst part. What is it? He's leveraged the house, the estate. He forged your signature on the deed transfer documents last year to put the title in a holding company, then took out a massive loan against it. Luna closed her eyes. He stole my name. He stole everything. If this house of cards collapses, you're liable, Luna. Your name is on the secondary documents as a guarantor. He set you up as the fall guy. If he divorces you and the company goes under, the debt falls on you. He walks away clean with the offshore cash. The cruelty took her breath away. It wasn't just about a mistress or being tired of her. Philip had been planning to frame her for financial ruin for years. He was going to leave her not just homeless, but millions of dollars in debt and potentially facing prison time. "Can we stop it?" Luna asked. "We have to move fast," Arthur said. "I can trigger a fraud alert, but I need physical proof. Do you have the jagged key?" Luna's hand went to the locket around her neck. Inside wasn't a picture of her children. It was a small, strangely shaped silver key she had found in Philip's gym bag 6 months ago. She had made a copy and put the original back. "I have it. That opens his private safe at the bank, the one under the name Vandelay Industries. You need to get to the First National Bank on 4th Street tomorrow morning at 9:00 a.m. when the vault opens. If you can get the ledger inside that box, we own him." "Okay," Luna said. "I'll be there." "Luna, where are you sleeping?" "I'm fine, Arthur. I'll figure it out." She hung up before he could offer to pay for a hotel. She couldn't accept charity. Not now. She needed to stay angry. She nursed the coffee for 4 hours until Doris gave her a sympathetic look and a free refill. At 3:00 a.m., a group of loud men walked in. They were wearing expensive suits, loosened ties, laughing loudly. Luna shrank into the booth. One of them stopped. It was Grant Phillips, CFO, and best friend. Luna turned her face to the wall, pulling her hair forward, praying he wouldn't see her. "Hey, isn't that Philip's wife?" one of the other men whispered. Luna's blood ran cold. Grant walked over. He smelled of bourbon and expensive cigars, the same smell that had permeated her dining room hours ago. "Well, well," Grant said, sliding into the booth opposite her. "The Duchess of Dumpster." Luna looked up. "Leave me alone, Grant." Philip texted the group chat. Grant smirked, pulling out his phone. Said he finally took out the trash. "Didn't realize you'd literally be at a truck stop diner. It suits you." He snapped a picture of her. The flash blinded her for a second. "What are you doing?" Luna demanded, shielding her face. "Sending this to the boys. Philip is going to love this. Look at her crawling back to the gutter." Grant laughed. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a $20 bill. He crumpled it up and tossed it at her. It landed in her coffee cup, splashing hot liquid onto her hand. "Buy yourself a bus ticket out of town, Luna. No one wants you here." Grant got up, high-fiving his friends as they walked out, their laughter trailing behind them. Luna looked at the crumpled bill floating in the black coffee. She looked at the red burn mark forming on her hand. She didn't cry. She reached into the cup, pulled out the wet bill, and dried it off with a napkin. She would need the bus fare to get to the bank. The morning sun hit the glass facade of First National Bank, blinding Luna as she stepped off the city bus. She had spent the last 4 hours dozing intermittently on a park bench, hugging her arms to her chest to keep warm. She looked like a wreck. Her expensive dress was wrinkled and stained with coffee. Her hair was a tangled knot, and the bruise on her cheek had bloomed into a violent shade of purple and yellow. She checked her reflection in the bank's window. She didn't look like Mrs. Philip Banks, the socialite. She looked like a cautionary tale. Chin up, she whispered to herself. She pushed through the revolving doors. The air conditioning hit her instantly, smelling of money and floor polish. The security guard, a heavy-set man named Ralph, who usually greeted her with a smile, stepped forward, his hand drifting toward his belt. "Ma'am, I can't let you in here if you're soliciting," Ralph said, his eyes scanning her disheveled appearance. He didn't recognize her. "It's me, Ralph," Luna said, her voice raspy. "Mrs. Banks." Ralph squinted. His eyes widened as he recognized the features beneath the exhaustion. "Mrs. Banks? Good Lord, what happened? Should I call the police?" "No police," Luna said quickly. "Just a bad night. I need to access the safety deposit box immediately." She walked to the counter. The teller, a young woman with sharp glasses, looked at Luna's ID, then at her face, then back at the ID. "Access to box 404, the teller asked. "Does Mr. Banks have the primary key?" "I have the secondary key," Luna said, placing the jagged silver key on the marble counter. It made a sharp clink. The teller hesitated. "The account has a flag on it, as of this morning, Mrs. Banks. Pending audit. I'm not sure I can." Luna leaned forward. She channeled every ounce of the imperious energy she had learned from her mother-in-law, Victoria. "The flag is for the business accounts. This is a personal box. My name is on the signature card. If you deny me access to my property while I am standing here injured and in distress, I will make sure your branch manager hears about the lawsuit before lunch." The teller swallowed hard. "Right this way." They walked into the vault. The heavy steel door hissed open. The silence inside was oppressive. The teller unlocked the box, slid the long metal drawer out, and placed it on the table in the private viewing room. "I'll give you a moment," she said, backing out. As soon as the door clicked shut, Luna tore the lid off the box. Her hands shook. She expected stacks of cash. She expected diamonds. Instead, the box contained 3 things. 1. A thick black leather ledger. 2. A thumb drive. 3. A velvet pouch. Luna opened the ledger. It wasn't just accounting. It was a diary of crimes. Philip had been meticulous. He had recorded every bribe paid to city council members to approve his shoddy construction permits. He had recorded the ghost employees on the payroll fake names used to siphon money out of the company. But then she turned to the last page, and her breath hitched. Project Scapegoat. Underneath the heading were transfers, massive ones. Millions of dollars moved from the company accounts into an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The account holder's name, Luna Banks. He hadn't just framed her for debt. He had framed her for the theft itself. He had set up an identity in her name, moved the stolen money there, and was planning to discover it during the divorce proceedings. He would look like the victim of a greedy wife who embezzled his fortune. He would get the sympathy, and she would get 20 years in federal prison. "You monster!" she hissed. She grabbed the velvet pouch. Inside was a necklace. It wasn't hers. It was an antique emerald choker that belonged to Victoria. Philip had reported it stolen 2 years ago to claim the insurance money. It was right here. He had stolen from his own mother. Luna shoved the ledger, the drive, and the necklace into her purse. She had the smoking gun. She had the nuclear codes. She stood up to leave, but her phone buzzed. 1% battery left. It was a text from Arthur. "Get out, now! He knows you're at the bank. Grant just called security." Luna's heart stopped. She looked at the viewing room door. Through the frosted glass, she saw the silhouette of 2 men approaching. One was the security guard, Ralph. The other was wearing a suit. Grant. They were coming to trap her. Luna looked around the small room. There was no other exit. Just the main door and a ventilation vent too small for a human. She grabbed the metal box and slammed it back into the slot, locking it empty. She shoved the evidence deep into her dress, wrapping the ledger against the small of her back with the sash of her dress. The door handle turned. "Luna." Grant's voice was smooth, oily. "We know you're in there. Philip is very worried about your mental state. We're here to take you to a clinic." A clinic? That was the play. They would have her committed. A hysterical woman ranting about conspiracies would never be believed in court. Luna opened the door before they could enter. Grant was standing there, a smug grin plastered on his face. "There she is, the runaway bride." "Get away from me," Luna said, clutching her purse. Now." Grant stepped forward, blocking her path. "You're not well. You stole a key, Luna. That's theft. We just want to help." He reached for her arm. "Ralph," Luna screamed, looking at the security guard. "This man is harassing me. I have a restraining order against him." It was a lie, but it made Ralph hesitate. "Mr. Grant, maybe we should let the police handle this." "We don't need police." Grant snapped his mask, slipping. "She has company property. Grab her purse." Grant lunged. Luna didn't think. She reacted. She swung her heavy purse, weighted down by the metal ledger, and smashed it into Grant's face. The corner of the ledger hit his nose with a sickening crunch. Grant howled, stumbling back, blood spurting onto his white shirt. "She's crazy," Grant shrieked. "She broke my nose." Luna didn't wait. She bolted past him, kicking off her high heels to run barefoot across the polished marble floor. "Stop her!" Grant yelled, clutching his face. Luna hit the revolving doors at a run, spinning out onto the sidewalk. She didn't look back. She ran into the morning traffic, dodging a taxi, and sprinted down an alleyway. She ran until her lungs burned and her feet bled. She collapsed behind a dumpster 3 blocks away, clutching the purse to her chest. She was a fugitive now. But she was a fugitive with the evidence. 2 hours later, Luna was unrecognizable. She had used the $20 bill she saved from the coffee cup to buy a cheap, oversized grey hoodie and sweatpants from a thrift store. She tucked her hair into a beanie. She looked like just another invisible person on the city streets. She found a public library and plugged her phone into a computer station to charge. While it charged, she logged into a burner email account and sent the files from the thumb drive to Arthur. Arthur received. "This is dynamite, Luna. The FBI would have a field day. But we need more. We need to prove he controls the offshore account, not you. We need his password key. It's usually a physical token." Does he keep it on him? Luna thought. Philip never carried tech. He was paranoid about hackers. He kept his most valuable possessions in the one place he thought was untouchable. The West Wing, the part of the mansion currently under renovation. She had to go back. It was suicide, but she had no choice. She took a bus to the outskirts of the wealthy neighborhood where the bank's estate sat. She waited until dusk. The mansion was lit up like a Christmas tree. There were cars in the driveway. A party. Of course, Philip wouldn't cancel his Friday night gala just because his wife was homeless. He would spin it. Poor Luna had a breakdown. "I'm devastated." Luna skirted the perimeter, moving through the woods that bordered the property. She knew every inch of these grounds. She had planted the hydrangeas herself. She reached the West Wing. It was dark, separated from the main house by a courtyard. She climbed the trellis, something she had caught her son doing a dozen times, and slipped onto the second-floor balcony. The glass door was unlocked. Typical Sasha. Luna stepped into the room. It was filled with paint tarps and ladders, but the center of the room was set up like a luxury apartment. There was a vanity piled high with makeup, a rack of designer clothes, and Sasha. Sasha was sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to the door. She was on the phone. "I know, baby. I know," Sasha was saying. Her voice wasn't the high-pitched, vapid tone she used at dinner. It was sharp, calculating. "He's an idiot. He thinks I'm actually into him. It's disgusting." Luna froze in the shadows. "I found the wall safe," Sasha continued, "but I can't crack the code. It's 6 digits. Once I get the diamonds, I'm gone. I'll meet you in Rio on Tuesday." Luna stepped out of the shadows. "It's his birthday," Luna said clearly. 06-12-80. Sasha screamed, dropping her phone. She spun around, grabbing a heavy brass candlestick from the nightstand. "You—" Sasha gasped. "How did you— What are you doing here? I'll scream. Philip is just across the yard." "Go ahead," Luna said, pulling down the hood of her sweatshirt. "Scream. Tell him you're on the phone with your real boyfriend, planning to rob him. See how well Philip takes betrayal. You saw what he did to me, and I was loyal." Sasha's eyes darted to the phone on the floor, then back to Luna. She lowered the candlestick slowly. "You heard that—" "I heard everything," Luna said. She walked further into the room. "You're not an interior designer. You're a grifter." Sasha let out a breath, her posture shifting. The innocent act vanished. She slumped her shoulders and looked at Luna with a mix of fear and respect. "And you're supposed to be the pathetic housewife. You look like you just mugged someone." "I broke Grant's nose," Luna said flatly. Sasha laughed, a genuine surprised laugh. "Good. He pinched my ass yesterday." "We have a problem, Sasha," Luna said. "You want the diamonds in the wall safe. I want the digital token that's sitting right next to them." "The little black USB stick?" Sasha asked. "I saw him put it in there." "I need that token," Luna said, "and you need the code." Sasha narrowed her eyes. "Why should I trust you? You could turn me in and try to win him back." "Win him back." Luna stepped into the light, revealing the bruise on her face. "I'm going to destroy him, but I can't do it without that token, and you can't get your payout without the code." Sasha bit her lip. She looked at the main house where the sound of music and laughter drifted across the lawn. "He's broke, you know," Luna said. "The cash is gone. The stocks are fake. The only things of value left in this house are the diamonds in that safe and the insurance fraud necklace I have in my pocket." Sasha's face paled. "He's broke. He's been running a Ponzi scheme. The FBI will be here by Monday. If you're still here, you go down with him as an accomplice." Sasha cursed under her breath. She picked up her phone and hung up on her boyfriend. "Okay," Sasha said. "Okay, we do this. But we have to be fast. He's coming over here in 20 minutes for a private tour before the speeches start." 20 minutes is all I need," Luna said. Sasha walked to the large painting of a ship on the wall and swung it aside. Behind it was a steel safe. "Input the code," Sasha said, stepping back. Luna walked up to the safe. She hesitated. Philip was a narcissist. Of course the code was his birthday. She punched in 061280. Beep. Click. The heavy door swung open. Inside, sitting on a velvet shelf, was a stack of loose diamonds, Philip's emergency runaway fund. And next to them, a small black RSA security token with changing numbers on the screen. Jackpot, Sasha whispered, reaching for the diamonds. Luna grabbed the token. Wait, a voice boomed from the doorway. Luna and Sasha both froze. Standing in the door to the bedroom wasn't Philip. It was Victoria, Philip's mother. She was wearing a floor-length emerald gown, holding a glass of champagne and pointing a small pearl-handled pistol directly at Luna's chest. I knew you were a rat, Luna, Victoria said, her voice calm and terrifying. But I didn't think you were a thief. And you... She turned the gun slightly toward Sasha. I hired you to distract my son, not rob him. Luna's mind raced. Victoria hired Sasha. Step away from the safe, Victoria commanded, clicking the safety off the gun. Both of you, now. The barrel of the pearl-handled pistol didn't waver. Victoria Banks was 70 years old, but her hand was as steady as a surgeon's. You hired her. Philip's voice drifted in from the hallway, muffled by the distance. But inside the room, the silence was deafening. Luna stared at her mother-in-law. You hired Sasha to seduce your own son. Victoria let out a short, sharp laugh. Please, Luna, don't be so provincial. Philip has always been a distractible child. He gets bored with his toys. You were the boring toy. I needed him occupied while I restructured the family trust. Sasha was entertainment expense. Sasha looked offended. I was promised a percentage of the turnover, Victoria, not to be held at gunpoint. Plans change, Victoria snapped. Philip was supposed to divorce you quietly, Luna, give you a small settlement and send you away. But he had to be theatrical. He had to humiliate you. And you, she glared at Luna, you had to grow a spine at the most inconvenient moment. Luna realized the truth then. It hit her harder than the divorce papers. It wasn't Philip, Luna whispered. The Ponzi scheme, the offshore accounts. It wasn't him. Philip, Victoria scoffed. My son can barely tie his own shoes without a consultant. He thinks he's a genius, but he's just the face. I built this empire. I cooked the books. And I will not let a scorned housewife and a greedy escort burn it down. She extended her hand, palm up. The token, Luna. Give it to me, and the ledger you have in that tacky purse. Luna clutched the token tighter. If I give this to you, you'll kill us. Don't be dramatic. I'll frame you. Victoria smiled thinly. I'll call the police. Say I walked in on 2 intruders robbing the safe. You'll go to prison for burglary. I'll keep the money. Philip will be none the wiser. He's your son, Luna said. You're setting him up to take the fall for the fraud if the SEC investigates. Better him than me. Victoria shrugged. He's young. He'll survive prison. I wouldn't. Sasha looked at Luna. For the first time, the 2 women, the wife and the mistress, shared a look of pure understanding. They were both pawns in Victoria's game. Catch! Sasha yelled. Sasha didn't throw the diamonds at Victoria. She threw the entire heavy jewelry box at the chandelier above Victoria's head. The box smashed into the crystal fixture. Glass rained down. Victoria flinched instinctively, looking up and raising her arms to shield her face. Run! Sasha screamed. Luna didn't hesitate. She shoved past Victoria, knocking the older woman into the doorframe. The gun went off. Bang! A deafening crack in the small room. The bullet shattered the mirror above the vanity. Luna and Sasha scrambled onto the balcony. She's shooting at us! Sasha shrieked, vaulting over the railing. Jump! Luna commanded. It was a 10-foot drop to the flower beds below. They jumped together, landing hard in the hydrangeas. Luna rolled, ignoring the sharp pain in her ankle. "My ankle," Sasha moaned. "Get up!" Luna grabbed Sasha's arm, hauling her to her feet. "The shot will bring security." Lights were flickering on in the main house. Shouts echoed across the lawn. "Who fired that shot?" Philip's voice boomed from the terrace. Luna dragged Sasha into the shadows of the hedges. They were trapped. To the left was the main gate guarded by security. To the right was the party teeming with guests. "We can't leave," Luna panted, pressing her back against the cold brick of the house. "They'll catch us at the perimeter." Sasha was hyperventilating. "We're dead! We're dead!" Luna looked at the digital token in her hand. The numbers were changing every 60 seconds. It was the key to everything. She looked at the glowing windows of the grand ballroom, where hundreds of the city's elite were drinking champagne. "We don't need to leave," Luna said, a cold determination settling over her. "What? We need to go to the party." Sasha looked at her like she was insane. "Look at us. I'm in a torn dress and you look like a hobo." "We can't blend in." "We're not going to blend in," Luna said, pulling her phone out. 5% battery, just enough. "Arthur. Are you there? I'm here." Arthur's voice crackled. "I heard a gunshot. Luna, get out of there." "No," Luna said. "I'm at the venue. I have the token. I have the ledger. And I have a witness." She glanced at Sasha. "I need you to hack the ballroom's AV system." "The projector?" Arthur asked. "The big screen behind the stage," Luna said. "Philip is doing his keynote speech in 10 minutes. I want to give a presentation of my own." Arthur laughed, a nervous, terrified sound. "You want to broadcast the evidence live?" "I want them to see who he really is," Luna said. "Can you do it? If you can get me near the local Wi-Fi router, I can bridge the connection. But you have to get close." Luna looked at Sasha. "Can you walk?" Sasha gritted her teeth, ripping the hem of her silver dress to make a bandage for her ankle. "I can limp. But if we do this, I want immunity. You tell the feds I helped you." "Deal," Luna said. "Then let's crash a party," Sasha said. The grand ballroom was a sea of tuxedos and designer gowns. A string quartet played softly in the corner. Waiters circulated with trays of caviar. At the front of the room, a massive stage was set up with a podium and a gigantic screen displaying the logo, Banks Enterprises, Building the Future. Philip Banks stood at the podium. He looked magnificent. He was smiling, holding a glass of champagne, basking in the adoration of the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," Philip's voice boomed over the speakers, "tonight isn't just about success. It's about integrity. It's about family." Applause rippled through the room. In the shadows of the catering corridor, Luna and Sasha moved like ghosts. They had slipped in through the kitchen entrance, dodging staff. "The router is in the sound booth," Sasha whispered, pointing to a raised platform at the back of the room. "The sound guy, Dave, has a crush on me. Leave him to me." Sasha limped up the stairs to the booth. Luna watched from below. She saw Sasha lean in, whispering something to the technician. The man blushed, distracted. Sasha's hand moved quickly, plugging a small flash drive, Arthur's uplink, into the console. "We're in." Luna's phone buzzed. "Arthur, I have control. Give me the token code." Luna typed it in, 884921. "Arthur, accessing Cayman server. Decrypting." "Got it. It's all here, Luna. The emails, the wire transfers, the forged signatures. It's over." "Not yet," Luna whispered. "Wait for my signal." On stage, Philip was getting emotional. "I want to thank my mother, Victoria," Philip said, gesturing to where Victoria had just entered the room. She had changed her clothes and composed herself, though her eyes scanned the room like a hawk. And I want to mention my wife, Luna. Sadly, she couldn't be here tonight. She is struggling with some personal demons, but we pray for her." A murmur of sympathy went through the crowd. Luna stepped out of the shadows. She walked right down the center aisle. The grey hoodie was gone. She had discarded it to reveal the dirty, stained navy blue dress she had worn to dinner the night before. Her hair was wild. Her face was bruised. She looked like a spectre haunting a feast. The crowd fell silent as they noticed her. The whisper turned into a gasp. Philip froze mid-sentence. He squinted against the stage lights. "Luna!" "I'm here, Philip." Luna's voice rang out. She didn't need a microphone. The silence in the room carried her voice to the rafters. "I wouldn't miss your speech for the world." "Security!" Philip yelled, panic cracking his smooth veneer. "She's unwell." "Remove her." 2 guards started toward her. "Now, Arthur!" Luna screamed. The massive screen behind Philip flickered. The logo of Banks Enterprises vanished. In its place, a video started playing. It wasn't a spreadsheet. It was the security footage from the dining room the night before. Philip had installed cameras everywhere to watch the staff, forgetting they also watched him. The audio boomed through the ballroom speakers. "You're a parasite. Through divorce papers. I'm done with dragging a poverty-stricken anchor around my neck." The crowd gasped. On the screen, giant and high-definition Philip threw the papers into Luna's face. Philip spun around, horror-struck. "Cut the feed. Cut it." But the video changed. Now it was a spreadsheet. Project Scapegoat. Lines of red numbers transfers of millions of dollars into an account named Luna Banks, authorized by Philip Banks via a forged digital signature. Then a voice recording played. It was the call Luna had recorded in the guest house just minutes ago. "I built this empire. I cooked the books. He's young. He'll survive prison. I wouldn't." Victoria's voice. The entire room turned to look at Victoria. She stood near the entrance, her face draining of all color. She dropped her champagne glass. It shattered. "Lies!" Philip screamed into the microphone, but the feedback squealed. "This is a deep fake. She's hacking the system." Luna walked closer to the stage. She stopped 10 feet from him. "It's not a hack, Philip," she said calmly. "It's the truth. You called me poor. You called me stupid. But you forgot that I used to audit companies like yours for a living before I became your trophy." Philip looked at the crowd. His investors were backing away. The mayor was frantically whispering to his aide. Grant, with a bandage on his nose, was trying to sneak out the side door. "You ruined me," Philip snarled, abandoning the act. He jumped off the stage, rushing at Luna. "You ungrateful bitch!" He raised his hand to strike her. "Police, freeze!" The side doors burst open. A dozen uniformed officers and men in FBI windbreakers swarmed the room. Philip froze his fist raised in the air. A tall agent with a stern face stepped forward. "Philip Banks, Victoria Banks, you are under arrest for securities fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit money laundering." Philip stumbled back. No, it's her." He pointed a shaking finger at Luna. "She did it. Look at the accounts. It's her name. We have the token logs, Mr. Banks," the agent said, snapping handcuffs onto Philip's wrists. "We know the transfers were made from your IP address, and thanks to your wife, we have the ledger." Victoria tried to run, but 2 officers blocked her path. As they handcuffed her, she spat at Philip. "You incompetent fool, I told you to get rid of her years ago." Luna stood in the center of the chaos. The flashing lights of the police cars outside reflected off the diamonds in the crowd. Philip was dragged past her. He looked small, defeated. He looked at Luna, searching for mercy. "Luna," he choked out. "Please, the kids." Luna looked him in the eye. "Don't worry," she said softly. "I'll tell them you're away on business. A very long business trip." As they hauled him away, Sasha limped down from the sound booth. She stood next to Luna. "That," Sasha said, "was better than any soap opera." Luna looked down at her hands. They were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline. She was free. "Is it over?" Sasha asked. Luna looked at the FBI agents seizing the laptops on the stage. She looked at the guests who were now looking at her, not with pity but with fear and awe. "No," Luna said, straightening her spine. "The divorce hasn't even started yet. I'm taking half of what's left. And then I'm going to buy my own house." She turned and walked out of the ballroom, head held high, leaving the ruins of the bank's empire behind her. 6 months later. The visitation room at the state penitentiary smelled of bleach and despair, a sharp contrast to the rosemary and expensive scotch that had defined Luna's life for a decade. Luna sat on the metal stool, waiting. She checked her watch. It wasn't a cheap department store watch anymore, nor was it the flashy diamond timepiece Philip had promised her, but never bought. It was a sensible, elegant chronograph she had purchased with her first paycheck from her new job. The heavy steel door buzzed. Philip walked in. The change was shocking. The man who had worn custom charcoal suits was now draped in an ill-fitting orange jumpsuit. His hair, once perfectly coiffed, was buzzing short and graying at the temples. He had lost weight, but not in the healthy way he had demanded of Luna. He looked hollowed out. He sat down behind the plexiglass barrier. He didn't pick up the phone immediately. He just stared at her. Luna picked up the receiver. "Hello, Philip." He slowly lifted the phone to his ear. "You look good." "I am good," Luna said comfortably. "I'm sleeping better." "Have you seen my mother?" Philip asked, his voice cracking. "Victoria is in the federal facility in Danbury," Luna said. "She's not adjusting well. Apparently the other inmates don't appreciate being told they have poor posture." Philip let out a dry, humorless laugh. He looked down at his hands. "Grant took a plea deal, you know. He testified against me to knock 5 years off his sentence. My best friend." "He was never your friend, Philip," Luna said. "He was on your payroll. There's a difference." Philip leaned forward, his eyes desperate. "Luna, can you? Is there any way you can speak to the judge before the sentencing hearing next week?" Character witness. "Tell them I was under my mother's influence. If you help me, I can—" "You can what?" Luna interrupted gently. "You have nothing, Philip. The assets were seized. The house is foreclosed. The cars are auctioned." "I'm the father of your children," he whispered. "Yes." Luna nodded. "And that is the only reason I'm here. To give you these." She slid a manila envelope through the document slot. Philip stared at it. It looked exactly like the one he had thrown at her face 6 months ago at the dinner table. "Divorce papers?" he asked. "Already signed," Luna said. "And the custody agreement. You get supervised visitation once a month pending your release, which given the charges won't be for at least 8 to 10 years. Philip put his hand on the envelope. "You're not going to throw it at me?" "No," Luna said, standing up and smoothing out her skirt. "I don't need to perform, Philip. I won." She turned to leave. "Luna," he called out, panic rising in his voice. "What will you do? How will you survive without the bank's name?" Luna looked back over her shoulder, a small, genuine smile playing on her lips. "I went back to my maiden name last week," she said. And I started a forensic accounting firm. My first client is the FBI. Turns out, I'm very good at finding hidden money." She hung up the phone. As she walked out of the prison into the bright spring sunshine, a car was waiting for her. The window rolled down. "Did he sign?" Sasha asked from the driver's seat. She was wearing sunglasses and chewing gum. She hadn't gone to prison, her immunity deal held up, and she was now working as Luna's office manager. It was a strange friendship forged in fire, but it worked. "He'll sign," Luna said, getting into the car. "He doesn't have a choice." "Good." Sasha grinned, revving the engine. "Because we have a meeting with the school board at 200. You promised the twins we'd get pizza after." "Let's go," Luna said. She leaned her head back against the seat and watched the prison walls fade into the distance in the rearview mirror. She touched her cheek. The bruise was long gone, healed without a scar. She wasn't the poor wife anymore. She wasn't the fat wife. She wasn't the victim. She was Luna. And for the first time in 10 years, the road ahead was wide open. And that is how Luna turned her husband's ultimate insult into his ultimate downfall. Philip thought he could throw her away like trash, but he forgot one simple rule of life. You never underestimate the person who knows where your skeletons are buried. It took 10 years of silence, but in one night, Luna reclaimed her dignity, her freedom, and her future. Philip lost his empire. His mother lost her freedom and Luna. She gained everything she actually needed. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in Luna's shoes, sitting at that dinner table with the divorce papers covered in gravy, would you have walked away quietly, or would you have burned it all down, just like she did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story of revenge and justice, please smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss the next episode. We have a crazy story coming up next week about a bride who found out her groom was married to her sister. You do not want to miss that. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and remember, always read the fine print.